So after the flood of emotions Act 2 gave, I need something to distract myself because I don't want to feel sad. So here's a video breaking down the teaser trailer for Arcane Season 2 Act 3. Fair warning, this video, 1, contains spoilers for Season 2 Act 2 of Arcane, so go watch it if you haven't already, then maybe come back. And 2, this video contains a decent amount of speculation, so take whatever I say about potentials for the next act with a grain of salt. That being said, I'm a bit distant, you're a complete stranger in my home, and here's a breakdown. Right as we open, Jace says,
"A storm is coming."
the storm being everything that's happening right now. Noxians, Warwick, Victor, the Arcane, the Black Rose. A storm is putting it mildly. But it could also be a very, very slight nod to Victor's in-game ult, Chaos Storm. Any takers? No? Okay. It's obvious, but I'm gonna say it anyways. Specifically, Jace telling us this, most likely because of whatever he saw in the Arcane while he was trapped in there for however long the jump between Act 2 and Act 1 was. Right after the Arcane logo, we can see the Noxians fighting against Piltover's Enforcers with shimmered up Noxian soldiers, definitely from Singed, and seemed to be storming somewhere the Enforcers looked like they were holding down. They probably came from the giant hole in the tower behind them after dropping in via the warships that we see later on, and is most likely one side to the giant building that contains the Hex Gate, and also the Arcane beneath it. Why they're specifically going there, most likely having to do something with Victor, but I'll go over that in a bit. In the next scene, we see Vi blocking and returning a strike from a Noxian spear. After that, we fade away and Mel's back, either managing to leave the cage she was stuck in with her other sibling, or maybe imposter LeBlanc Mel? But we only have 3 episodes left, and I doubt we have time for that, so just throw that in the trash. Also, she seems to be barefoot, so maybe she just got back. Act 3, or at least this scene in specific, takes place a little bit after Act 2, since we see Vi's hair color turning back to her original red, compared to the faint bits of red we had in Act 2. And Jace finally met up with everybody, and specifically is keeping his left arm exposed, definitely because of the hex crystal in his arm, seemingly guiding or empowering him, and he even cleaned up a little bit, probably thinking he looks better with the new cut and beard. They also mentioned Victor being behind this, but we'll go over that in a moment. What I do want to focus on in this shot is that Jace is staring at the hex gate, probably still focused on the Arcane at the base, and maybe thinking about Ekko and Heimerdinger still trapped within, that we didn't see at all in Act 2. You then see a shot of Warwick, who the Noxians probably managed to subdue and capture after and Singed connecting a tube to one of the valves on Vander's chest, probably connecting to one of his 2 hearts. Right after, a scene of what is most definitely Victor, followed by Singed turning on a valve, pumping a yellow liquid of sorts into Victor, or more specifically, the cocoon we see in a later shot. But this is probably foreshadowing the revival of Victor, since if you remember when Singed and Victor were talking with each other in Act 2, Singed mentioned Warwick's blood being a key to stabilizing Victor, meaning most likely the yellow liquid is Warwick's blood. Right after, we see Singed and Mbessa's camp most likely still in Victor's town, as seen by the architecture in the background. The purple orb behind the 2 of them being the cocoon I was referring to earlier, and most likely is the source of where we see that shot of Victor inside the blue circle, and potentially was a response from the hex core inside of him that Jace destroyed to preserve him as a response to him dying. Also in the shot, we see tubes connecting to the orb, connecting that to Warwick being attached to the same looking tubes, basically confirming what I said earlier about Warwick's blood being transferred to Victor. Singed and Mbessa then look surprised at whatever is in front of them. It can't be Victor because supposedly he's behind them in that cocoon, so maybe it's Warwick? Or maybe it can be relating to the next shot. The next shot being Victor's transformed people waking up. Except their foreheads are no longer the iridescent color and is now a more orangish color, potentially since Warwick's shimmer revitalized Victor, and last we saw Warwick, he had this orange all around him after Singed injected him, so Victor probably got some of whatever that was. Also, their eyes no longer have color and are a pure white, with a little dot in their eyes for the iris. This brings me to my theory that the reawakened Victor might the Noxians to storm the Hexgate area so they can get to the Arcane, whether it be from partnership or manipulation. Hence why Caitlyn is wondering if Victor is behind this, despite being presumably dead. It very well may not happen, but I just want to throw my hat in the ring. In the next shot, we see Noxian airships firing on the tower from earlier, again suggesting that they came in from the sky rather than anywhere from the floor. Also, what is most likely the bridge from the beginning of the teaser is visible. Next is a scene of Mbessa fighting Caitlyn in a duel, as we can see the Noxian soldiers around them just watching in silence. Where exactly this is taking place, I have no idea. I assumed this was near the bridge from the opening, but then I saw what I can only assume are trees, meaning that this most likely takes place somewhere near ground level. or somewhere with trees. Can't really assume anything else because everything else is either motion blurred or blocked by the Noxian soldiers. In the same scene, Mbessa can be seen wearing a lot of Canic Rukerns, since as we've seen in Jinx vs Rictus, they did really well against Jinx's Hextech pistol. So Mbessa and her soldiers are probably fully adorned in them so they can combat Caitlyn and her city's Hextech weapons. Then we see Vi arguing with Caitlyn in her office at her home. The same office where she looked at the blueprints for the Grey's ventilation system. Then we see Mbessa slicing through a group of enforcers using her twin Drakehounds, the same weapons we see her use as a champion in League of Legends. This scene most likely takes place before the cannon fire. Then we see Caitlyn using a new Hextech sniper rifle, and definitely looks more powerful just by looking at the damn thing. Where she is, I can't tell, but it's a vantage point and it's dirty. This also probably takes place before her duel with Mbessa. And I'm just spitballing here, but maybe Caitlyn was trying to shoot Mbessa, but Mbessa's absorbed the shot. Next is a scene of Vi fighting the two shimmered up Noxian soldiers, most likely the ones from the beginning of the teaser. After, we see Mbessa calling an order to fire while pink smoke and an air balloon with what I believe is Isha's bunny ears and Jinx's flies over. So yeah, Jinx or maybe Isha probably did something to the soldiers. This scene obviously being what causes the cannon fire into the buildings. Next we see an explosion, seemingly in reverse, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is a nightmare sequence because of the banner to the left and right of Jinx. It seems to be the Eye of Zon, commonly associated with Silco, and it's been a while since he was around, so I doubt this is an actual place. Then she pulls a pin on a grenade powered by a hex core, and after can be seen staring at the hex core, which I'm assuming came from Isha's, And I also just want to point out that this is most likely shortly after the explosion and after they left the fight. And yeah, Jinx definitely seems like she's going through it. Again, for the umpteenth time this month. But after that depressing moment, we see Caitlyn using her sniper rifle again, but this time in the Grey, and uses a Noxian soldier as support for her gun. If we're assuming this fight still takes place in Piltover, then potentially Caitlyn redirected the Grey from the Undercity to the Hexgate Tower, if again they're still fighting there. We also see her absolutely obliterate a Noxian soldier in the Grey, who was about to shoot her with a crossbow, showing how far behind the Noxians in technology, besides the Black Rose, really are in comparison to Piltover. Another thing is that we see arrows in both of the soldiers Caitlyn takes down in close combat. So either an ally got a Noxian's crossbow and is now giving Caitlyn support fire through the Grey, or something else, I don't know, you tell me in the comments. Then we see Vi finally take out at least one of the two shimmered up Noxian soldiers by throwing them into this thing. Then finally we see the whirling of a minigun, probably from Jinx and her air balloon, most likely to take out the soldiers behind Vi who surrounded her after taking out the shimmered up Noxian soldier, since the soldiers are blocking off her only path forward, and behind her is an edge. And Vi of course ducks for cover, not wanting to end up like Silco. But do keep in mind that this could just be clever editing, since they very intentionally made some scenes look like they go right into a different one. Like when the shimmered up Noxian soldier attacks Vi, but like I mentioned earlier, it's a spear that attacked her, not the Noxian soldier's weapon. So the reason she's ducking could be Jinx, but it could also be like a cannon, Ekko, Warwick, Dragon God, anything really. Well, that's about everything I could find. I'm gonna go make another one of these Arcane videos because I don't want to be alone in my thoughts right now, and I'm still not ready for the show to end. Oh yeah, and subscribe and stuff. See ya.